So how did you do with your most recent homework assignment? Hopefully you're starting to feel a little more comfortable with the PHP language and you're able to accomplish these tasks on your own. Now, if you don't have MySQL experience, this may have been a little bit tricky for you because our where statement now, we already have a condition, but we can have multiple conditions, and we do that with the and. So where subject equals whatever ID and visible equals 1. Now, I gave you a MySQL tutorial earlier, but if you continue to have questions about MySQL, a great resource for you to check out is the MySQL website. At dev.mysql.com, or you can get there by just going to mysql.com and clicking on Community, there'll be a link for documentation over to the left and 5.0 that'll take you to the reference manual that'll tell you everything that you need to know about MySQL. Now we can see the more we work with databases, the more power we're going to want to have in understanding how to write those query statements. So if you're looking for a place to go once you finish this tutorial in order to develop your skills, MySQL is going to be one of those places. If you already knew MySQL, then this probably was a cinch for you. We just simply put in our same if public, then add this into the query statement, and everything works great. Let's go back and take a look here. Here I'm at index.php, and now I've hidden history, and history doesn't show up anymore. So that works for us. Pause the screen and review the code if you need to. Go back, make sure you understand it. The next issue that I want to move on to is this idea of a default page. What happens if we click only on a subject link? It'd be a lot better if we could have something else display here besides Welcome to Widget Corp. And I want to look at that now. The way that it decides what page is going to be displayed, you'll remember, we tackled, open up index.php, we tackled right here with find selected page. So if we select a page here, if that returns us something for SEL_page, then that page will be selected. So all we have to do is figure out how we can have this function return a page that can then be used. And that'll keep us from getting this. So we know what we need to accomplish. Let's go to that find selected page and see what it looks like. I'll close back up index.php. We won't be needing it. And let's go up to where let's find the spot where we do find selected page. Here we are. I'm just going to fold some of these up, get them out of my way. One of the nice features of TextMate, find selected page. Here we go. Now, you'll see that the problem is that if the subj is set, if that value is in our superglobal get, then select page gets set to null. And that's what gives us the default page. So instead, we need to construct a function that can go here that will instead pull down a page. So let's write one that's going to be get default page. And that's going to be the function we're going to create. And we're going to want to get the default page for this subject. So let's pass it our same get subj. In fact, even better than that, we've already found the row here. We have the subject that we can work with. So instead, let's actually refer to it by that name, SEL subject, and its ID. So we'll get the subject by ID. Now we have the subject, and we can refer to its ID here and pass it into a new function we're going to write called getDefaultPage. So I'm going to go ahead and create that right above here so we can see it. Function getDefaultPage. Now we already know what the argument to this function is going to be. It's going to be the subject ID. Now for the content. How would we go about finding the default page? You know how to write SQL for this. And we certainly could write a query that would just take the subject ID and find its first visible page. But we already have a function that does that. It's this getPages4Subject that's up here. If we pass it true as its second argument, it'll give us just the visible pages. So instead of writing the SQL out again, let's make use of that function with PHP that looks something like this. I'm going to get pages for the subject, and I'm going to pass it the context of true. Even though we weren't passed in a context, we can go ahead and use that and say only the visible ones. And I'm going to then get back a page set. I'm going to fetch the first array out of that set, and that'll be my first page. I don't need to do a loop and find a bunch of them. I'm only going to find the first one. We know we got all visible ones. We'll just grab the first one. And then if we got one back successfully, return it. And if not, return null. And it's that easy. That will then return a default page down here to our function and select page to it. And just like that, our function will be selected. Let's take a look. We'll go to index.php, just start fresh. And if I do about widget corp, we got our mission. and now we get widget 2000. So just like that, we've been able to make our functions and our menu more flexible. The last subject I want to visit before we leave the public area and call it done is the issue of transforming some of the text that we're displaying over here in the content area. We'll look at that next.